Let me tell you a story. So a friend of mine and I, we went for a run in Central Park. The Roadrunners organization, on the weekends, they host races. And it's very common at the end of the race, they'll have a sponsor who will give away something, apples or bagels or something. And on this particular day, when we got to the end of the run, there were some free bagels. And they had picnic tables set up, and on one side was a group of volunteers. On the table were boxes of bagels, and on the other side was a long line of runners waiting to get their free bagel. So I said to my friend, let's get a bagel. And he looked at me and said, the line's too long. And I said, free bagel. And he said, I don't want to wait in line. And I was like, free bagel. And he says, nah, it's too long. And that's when I realized that there's two ways to see the world. Some people see the thing that they want, and some people see the thing that prevents them from getting the thing that they want. I could only see the bagels. He could only see the line. And so I walked up to the line. I leaned in between two people, put my hand in the box, and pulled out two bagels. And no one got mad at me, because the rule is you can go after whatever you want. You just cannot deny anyone else to go after whatever they want. Now, I had to sacrifice choice. I didn't get to choose which bagel I got. I got whatever I pulled out, but I didn't have to wait in line. So the point is you don't have to wait in line. You don't have to do it the way everybody else has done it. You can do it your way. You can break the rules. You just can't get in the way of somebody else getting what they want. That's rule number one. I had a meeting at the Pentagon, and I was meeting with some big general. You know, when you go for a meeting in an office, you sit in the foyer and they come and get you, and you make hallway talk on the way to the office to have the meeting.
Sure.
How was your trip? You know, that kind of stuff. And so he came to get me, and we were walking to his office, and we were making hallway talk. He said to me, Simon, I've had everyone in my office read your book. And I responded, my publisher thanks you. And he responded, tell them not to bother. I had them read my copy. Total book sales? 1. Total impact? Huge.
Right.
Versus when I go to an event and they give away 500 copies of my book for free, but nobody reads it, they use them as coasters. Total book sales, 500. Total impact? Nothing. Negligible. And so if the only drive is to sell books, you can achieve that. You can buy that. There are tricks and games in marketing that you can do that, and you spike and you disappear, right? But are you interested in sales or are you interested in impact?
Right.
And impact is a lot harder to measure because there's no direct correlation to the sale and the impact. But maybe somebody bought one and talks about it and talks about it and talks about it and talks about it and talks about it. And that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Those are the things I'm in. Why would someone talk about your stuff even if they don't buy it? I'll tell you a true story. A few months ago, I stayed at the Four Seasons in Las Vegas. And there was a barista by the name of Noah who was serving me. Noah was fantastic. He was friendly and fun. And he was engaging with me, and I had so much fun buying a cup of coffee, I actually think I gave 100% tip. Do you like your job? And without skipping a beat, Noah says, I love my job. Noah said, throughout the day, managers will walk past me and ask me how I'm doing, if there's anything that I need to do my job better. He said, not just my manager, any manager. And then he said something magical. He says, I also work at Caesar's Palace. And at Caesar's Palace, the managers are trying to make sure we're doing everything right. They catch us when we do things wrong. He says, when I go to work there, I like to keep my head under the radar and just get through the day so I can get my paycheck. So we in leadership are always criticizing the people. We're always saying, we've got to get the right people on the bus. I've got to fill my team. I've got to get the right people. But the reality is, it's not the people. It's the leadership. If we create the right environment, we will get people like Noah at the Four Seasons. If we create the wrong environment, we will get people like Noah at Caesar's Palace. It's not the people. And yet we're so quick to hire and fire. You can't hire and fire your children. If your kids are struggling, we don't say, you got to see at school, you're up for adoption. We do not practice empathy. What does empathy look like? Here's the lack of empathy. This is normal in our business world. You walk into someone's office, someone walks into our office and says, your numbers have been down for the 3rd quarter in a row. You have to pick up your numbers, otherwise I can't guarantee what the future will look like. How inspired do you think that person is to come to work the next day? Here's what empathy looks like. You walk into someone's office, someone walks into your office and says, your numbers are down for the 3rd quarter in a row. Are you okay? I'm worried about you. What's going on? We all have performance issues. Maybe someone's kid is sick. Maybe they're having problems in their marriage. Maybe one of their parents is dying. We don't know what's going on in their lives. And of course it will affect performance at work. Empathy is being concerned about the human being, not just their output. We have, for some reason, our work world has changed over the past 20 and 30 years. We are suffering the side effects of business theories left over from the 80s and 90s. And they are bad for people, and they are bad for business.
Humans are social animals, and almost all of our behavior is governed by our desire to feel safe. You know, locking the doors at night feels safe. Having someone sit next to us when we're hurt, when we're depressed, we want someone near us. I mean, this, you know, when we get married, we celebrate. We want to be near people. I mean, this is a very, very basic human thing. And so those who foster relationships, those who take care of others, will find themselves in a position where others are more likely to take care of them. Those who are driven solely by their own success, their own fame, their own fortune, that's a solo exercise. You know, people will happily watch you, and if they're helping you, it's probably for selfish gain themselves because you set the tone. We feel vulnerable, and so we don't want to expose ourselves to further vulnerability, whether it's humiliation or the real opportunity of failure, the real chance of failure. And so we close in, we put our walls up, and we work to protect ourselves. The irony is it does more damage. And it's when we can make ourselves vulnerable, when we can expose ourselves to someone and still feel safe and know that they will keep us safe, that's where the opportunity and the courage comes from. There's a great example, which is Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcoholics Anonymous has been helping people overcome the addiction to alcohol for 75, 80 years, very successfully. And we know the 12-step plan, you know? We joke about the first step, you know? It's admit you have a problem. Right. But the 12th step is what's fundamental. Alcoholics Anonymous knows that if you master all 11 steps but not the 12th, the likelihood is pretty good that you're going to drink again. However, if you master the 12th step, that's how you beat the disease. The 12th step is the commitment to help another alcoholic. It's service. In other words, when we willingly help those who are struggling with the same thing we're struggling with, that's where we find the will to look after ourselves and the courage to continue. And so I'm a great fan of entrepreneurs who help other entrepreneurs, regardless of their level of success. I have learned that I'm a really good communicator with people that I don't know and will probably never see again. And I really need to be a better communicator with people I love. I'm a really good listener with people who I will literally never see again. But I'm not a good listener with people who I care desperately for. And so I'm really working hard to exercise all the things that I've learned, like empathy and trying to understand meaning and all of those things with people where I'm emotionally involved. It's much harder because I'm emotionally involved. And, you know, we want to defend ourselves. I'm less inclined to defend myself with a stranger. I'm okay if they disagree with me. With somebody you love who accuses you of something, you take it personally because you care. Yeah. And so I'm really working hard on that, and it's helping me be a better person, a better friend, a better boyfriend, all of those things.
We need trust, right? We need trust. When we're surrounded by people who believe what we believe and trust starts to emerge, when we trust them and they trust us, we're more willing to take risks. We're more willing to experiment, which requires failure. We're more willing to explore and go somewhere that no one has ever gone before with the confidence that if we fail, if we trip over, if we turn our backs, that those within our community, those who we trust and who trust us, will look after us while we're gone, will pick us up when we fall over, will help us when we're hurt. Our very survival depends on it. But if you go out as a group, we're pretty damn amazing. And the reason is because we all have our certain strengths and we all have our certain weaknesses. And the goal is not to fix your weaknesses. The goal is to amplify your strengths and surround yourself with the people who can do what you can't do. But it's not just based on skills and application and experience. It's based on what you believe. It's based on what you believe. You see, simply being good at something and having somebody else being good at what you're no good at does not mean you will trust each other. Trust, the sense of trust comes from the sense of common values and common beliefs.
The order matters, sort of speak honestly about what you want, right? If you are don't do things for people when you want something from them. Just ask them what you want from them. In other words, when we know why you're emailing and it comes first, it has a remarkable impact. We know that all those pleasantries are just buttering us up to get to what they want, right? But if you come right out with what you want, we're actually very grateful for the pleasantries, right? It's the same thing in human interaction. Don't give someone a cup of coffee if you need a favor back. Just ask them for the favor. It builds trust. I can't trust you every time you do something nice for me. I think you want something from me. I won't trust you. And this is what companies do to us, right? Well, we did this for you. Why won't you do this for us? That's not how it works. Generosity, bending down to pick up the papers, holding the door open for someone, is expecting nothing in return, ever.
Apple doesn't start by talking about what they do. They start by talking about what they believe. If Apple spoke like anybody else, they'd start with what they do. We make great computers. How do they do it? They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Right? But they start with why. Everything we do, they say, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? It's totally different.
Right.